What if I told you that some of the deepest truths about the soul, the universe, and reality itself were not forgotten by accident, but silenced on purpose? And what if a woman in the 19th century dared to break that silence, unveiling spiritual codes so powerful they threatened the entire structure of what we call reality? Her name was Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. But what she brought into the world wasn't a doctrine, it was a summons. A call for those who feel, even without knowing why, that something exists beyond matter, beyond religion, beyond logic. A current of ancient wisdom pulsing beneath the surface of official history. This is not a biography, this is a threshold. Blavatsky wasn't just a scholar, she was an initiate, a woman who touched the living records of Atlantean, Egyptian, and Tibetan wisdom and translated them into principles that reveal the hidden architecture of the cosmos and of your own consciousness. But listen closely. What you're about to hear is not information to be consumed, it's an activation to be felt. Because when a forbidden truth is exposed, the soul awakens. These 5 truths weren't invented by Blavatsky. They were remembered, recovered from the ancestral memory of humankind. And the most astonishing part? Everything she revealed more than a century ago now aligns with the discoveries of quantum physics, neuroscience, and subtle fields of consciousness. So why was it all suppressed? Because truth liberates, and anything that liberates terrifies those who wish to keep control. If any of this already resonates with you, subscribe to this channel and stay until the end, because the truth you're about to remember here may completely shift how you see yourself, others, and existence itself. And maybe, just maybe, after this video you'll realize the world you live in today is only a fragment of what your soul has always known. Let's begin. For thousands of years, humanity lived under a grand illusion, the illusion of isolation. Man divided from man, spirit divided from matter, earth divided from sky. That illusion gave birth to borders, wars, religions in conflict, and systems of power feeding on invisible thresholds. But the first forbidden truth Blavatsky revealed shattered that paradigm with a whisper. Everything is connected, not symbolically, literally, tangibly, energetically. You watching this video are connected to me, to the screen showing this, to the air you breathe, to the ground vibrating beneath your feet. You're part of a cosmic web pulsing in perfect synchronicity. In the language of theosophy, this is known as the Great Universal Loom. Blavatsky didn't see the universe as a machine. She saw it as a living being, a conscious organism breathing through every atom, and you're a single cell in that infinite body. But what does that actually mean? It means no thought you have is harmless. Every emotion you feed, every intention you release, every choice you make reverberates. It creates invisible waves that stretch through time and space, shaping reality far beyond what your eyes can see. This isn't belief, it's science. Quantum physics is only now catching glimpses of what Blavatsky declared back in the 1800s. She wrote, "The universe is guided from within, outward." Today, physicists like David Bohm, a close collaborator of Einstein, speak of a unified field of consciousness, where everything is intertwined in a non-local dimension. No space, no time, no distance. What you feel here resonates elsewhere. What you emit now returns as echo tomorrow. Imagine tossing a stone into a still lake. The ripples expand outward. Now imagine throwing a thought of anger, or love, or fear, or gratitude. Those thoughts are subtle stones. And the universe, is the invisible lake. You can ignore it, but you cannot escape it, because this invisible web, linking you to the stranger on the street, the bird in the tree, the planet Venus, responds to everything. When Blavatsky spoke of this truth, she was mocked, because accepting interconnection demands something the ego fears most: the death of separation. The ego wants to feel superior, isolated, special. But Blavatsky taught the opposite. You are sacred because everything is sacred. In a forgotten passage, she wrote, "He who wounds a stone wounds himself. He who blesses a tree blesses his own heart, for all vibrates together, even in apparent silence." Have you ever felt a place calling you, thought of someone and they texted you seconds later, had a gut feeling that turned out to be true? These aren't coincidences. They're echoes from a greater connection. Visible fragments of an invisible web. Blavatsky said the universe isn't made of things, it's made of relationships. And once you become conscious of that web, everything shifts. Coincidence disappears. Synchronicities multiply. The invisible begins to speak. One day you'll look back and know you were never alone, not for a second. And that realization is where your liberation begins. But as beautiful as this truth is, it also frightens, because it destroys the myth of separation and forces you to take full responsibility, not just for your actions, but for your thoughts, emotions, and intentions. What you choose today will ripple into places you'll never see, and what you live now may have been set in motion by someone who no longer remembers your name. That's the terror and the beauty of interconnection, but it's also your greatest power, because if everything is connected, you can connect with anything, with healing, with wisdom, with abundance, with purpose. You only need to align your vibration with what your soul desires, and the universe will respond, because it's already listening. It always has. And now that you've started to remember, the web is already vibrating back. Forget everything you've been told about karma. It's not punishment. It's not a spiritual courtroom where you pay for sins from past lives. That's just moralism wearing a spiritual mask. According to Blavatsky, karma is not personal. It's a cosmic force, as precise as gravity, as exact as planetary motion, as inevitable as the cycle between life and death. What you send out, you receive, not as judgment, but as vibrational echo. Blavatsky called it the energetic adjustment of the universe, an invisible intelligence organizing the causes and consequences of your choices. And the most unsettling part? This force doesn't just operate in this life. The energy of a cruel thought or a compassionate act can cross lifetimes. It can reach people you'll never meet and return to you the moment your spirit is ready to understand. The real question is, are you ready for that level of responsibility? Because karma doesn't chase you. It reflects you. It shows you, through the circumstances of your life, what still needs to be integrated, healed, and transformed. Blavatsky said, karma is not punishment. It's a mirror, and what you see in it depends on the light you carry. That changes everything. Suffering? Not injustice, it's opportunity. Pain? Not a mistake. It's a perfectly synchronized lesson. And those blessings that come out of nowhere are seeds you once planted and forgot. But here's something deeper. You can learn to work with karma, consciously. Instead of being swept by it, you can sow new causes, intentional ones, deliberate ones, causes that will bear fruit at the exact right moment, in this life or in the ones to come. This is the hidden power that was silenced for centuries. You are not a slave of destiny. You are a co-creator of a vibrational equation that exists beyond linear time. Picture the universe as an infinite scale. Every act of selfishness adds weight. Every destructive thought leaves an imprint. But so does every gesture of compassion, every wise silence, every honest word. They shift the scale toward balance. You're not being judged. You're being realigned. And the more harmony you create around you, the more the universe reflects it back, not as a reward, but as a natural consequence of your frequency. Blavatsky once told the story of a wealthy man who lost everything. And in his poverty, he began to give, to share what little he had, to serve without expecting anything. Years later, his fortune returned. But this time, it came with peace. The difference wasn't the money, it was the energy behind his actions. How many of us keep repeating the same patterns, without realizing we're stuck in unresolved karmic loops, recurring relationships, stagnant feelings, the same wound with different faces? Karma doesn't punish. It whispers, "You haven't learned yet," and it repeats the lesson again and again until the soul wakes up. This truth was twisted, used as a threat, turned into a guilt weapon. But real karmic wisdom is not about punishment. It's about freedom. It tells you that you can change your timeline, that even the darkest errors from the past can be transmuted through conscious acts in the present. And here's the greatest mystery. You can break ancient patterns with new decisions. You can heal wounds from past lives with a single present act. All it takes is pure intention, an awakened mind, and compassionate action. Blavatsky believed karma moves faster in awakened souls, meaning the more conscious you are, the faster the universe responds to your vibration. That's why deeply spiritual people sometimes seem to suffer more when they slip. It's not punishment, it's the universe saying, "You already know." Ignorance slows the process, awareness accelerates it. Karma is the great educator of the soul, but it's also a portal to liberation. Once you understand this, you begin to use karma as a tool for ascension. You start asking, what I'm about to do, will it expand or limit me? Will it heal or harm? Will it bring light or shadow? And just by asking that question, you become an alchemist of your path. The second forbidden truth Blavatsky revealed is simple, but transformative. The universe doesn't punish or reward, it reflects and rebalances, and that gives you power. The power to rewrite your destiny, to settle invisible debts with silent actions, to live with the certainty that everything, absolutely everything, comes back, not out of revenge, but out of love for cosmic balance. And if you truly embody this truth, your life will never be the same again. Have you ever looked into someone's eyes for the very first time and felt without any logic that their soul has been walking beside yours for centuries, or walked through a foreign land, a place you've never set foot in, yet somehow, something inside you remembers the stones, the wind, the scent in the air? These echoes aren't mere coincidences. They are subtle memories, not of your body, but of your consciousness. The third forbidden truth that Blavatsky fearlessly revealed is this: the soul is not born once, it moves through epochs. Reincarnation is not superstition, it is a cosmic law, a mechanism for the refinement of consciousness, a system of divine precision, where every lifetime is a step on the infinite staircase of spiritual evolution. And why was this truth buried? Because if you believe you only have one life, you're easier to control. You fear making mistakes. You obey out of fear of eternal punishment. You cling to a single script and don't dare to rewrite it. But when you discover that you are a cosmic traveler, something ignites within you. The fear of death begins to fade. The thirst for truth grows stronger. And above all, that you begin to understand that nothing in your path is random. Every pain, every passion, every challenge is a lesson you chose to live. Blavatsky taught that the soul doesn't reincarnate to be punished. It returns with purpose. She called it the pilgrimage of individuality. While the personality changes, body, name, culture, era, the essence remains, that divine spark moving through the centuries, seeking to recognize itself. Picture a vast school with countless levels. Each life is a classroom. You begin with the easy lessons, then slowly advance to the ones that challenge your very core. And in each, you're called to learn something essential: patience, compassion, detachment, courage, forgiveness. Some souls get stuck at the same level for lifetimes, repeating the same lesson. Others rise gently, with humility, open eyes, and a listening heart. There's no rush, but there is direction. And here's the most beautiful part. You helped design this life. Before you were born, in subtle planes, you chose the meetings, the challenges, the gifts, and the wounds that would shape your awakening. That difficult parent, that painful breakup, that physical limitation. None of it is punishment. They are keys, gateways to move beyond the limits of matter and access the sleeping wisdom within you. And yes, this includes your emotional bonds. That person you love deeply, or the one who hurt you most, may have once been your child, your enemy, your teacher, your healer. According to Blavatsky, souls reincarnate in groups. She called them spiritual families or karmic circles. These souls meet again in different roles, to heal, to complete, to awaken one another. Reincarnation is the stage, karma, the script, and the soul, the eternal actor striving to play its most difficult role of all, its true self. This truth is uncomfortable because it shatters the narrative of victimhood. If you chose to come here, if you chose your challenges, then everything changes. The question is no longer, why is this happening to me? It becomes, what is my soul trying to learn through this? That shift in perspective has the power to deprogram trauma, to heal ancestral wounds, and accelerate your path of awareness. But to do that, you must accept that your story didn't begin at birth and won't end at death. You are eternal, not as a poetic idea, but as a real being who has existed beyond the veils of time, trying to remember who you truly are. Blavatsky never asked for blind belief. She said, "Look at your life through the eyes of the soul, and the memories will come, like dreams that refuse to be forgotten." And they do, sometimes as flashes, sometimes as deep intuitions, sometimes as encounters that change you forever. But the truth is this: you've lived far more than you imagine, and in this life, you have the chance to close ancient cycles and open new portals. The question is, are you ready? Imagine an immense tree, ancient, its roots reaching deep into the soil of time, and from its trunk countless branches extend, each one with its own language, culture, and belief. That tree is universal wisdom, and its branches, the spiritual traditions we know. What Blavatsky unveiled, and what was systematically rejected by religious institutions, is this: all authentic spiritual traditions come from the same hidden source, a primordial truth, a secret doctrine, a body of knowledge that doesn't belong to any one religion, but lives in the silence behind all of them. She called it the wisdom religion, and she dedicated her life to decoding the symbols, scriptures, and mysteries that pointed to this shared origin. In her travels, Blavatsky encountered Tibetan lamas, Hindu sages, Sufi mystics, Kabbalists, and guardians of Egyptian temples, and to her astonishment, she found patterns, repeating symbols. Even among civilizations that had never contacted one another, the all-seeing eye, the cosmic serpent, the sacred fire, the divine trinity, the soul's rebirth, the seven planes of existence. These archetypes are found in ancient Egypt, in the Vedas of India, in Gnostic Gospels, in Toltec wisdom, in Druidic legends, in Hermetic alchemy, and even between the lines of the traditional Bible. It is not coincidence. It's the echo of an original knowledge, passed down secretly by initiates who understood that not everyone was ready to hear. But why was it hidden? Because knowledge that unites is dangerous to those who profit from separation. If all religions speak of the same truth, who needs dogma? Who needs fear? Who needs intermediaries between the soul and the sacred? Blavatsky was called a heretic, a fraud, a madwoman. But she replied, "I did not come to start a new religion. I came to remember the ancient one, the one that came before them all." She compared the spiritual seeker to a traveler standing before many maps: Christianity, Buddhism, Kabbalah, Sufism. Each map has its language, its symbols, its boundaries, but all point to the same mountain, the mountain of truth. And you can climb from any side, as long as you remember, the goal is not to defend the map, it's to reach the summit. This perspective is radical, because it sets you free. It allows you to drink from many wells, to recognize truth wherever it appears, and most importantly, it silences the spiritual ego that insists, "My path is the only one, everything else is illusion." The wisdom of the ancient traditions is diverse in form, but one in essence, and it is still alive, even now, in the small details most people overlook, in the geometry of a mandala and the symmetry of a Gothic rose window, in the conscious breath of a yogi and the silent devotion of a nun, in the Sufi chant and the Zen stillness. These are all fragments of the same cosmic mirror, a mirror that was shattered but never destroyed. And if you learn to look beyond the surface, you'll see what Blavatsky saw: a golden thread of wisdom running through the ages, connecting lost civilizations like Atlantis, buried knowledge from ancient Egypt, and living traditions like Tibetan Buddhism and Western Hermeticism. That thread still exists, but it's not in books. It pulses inside you, in your intuition, in your inner calling, in that unshakable sense that you're here for something greater. This is the fourth forbidden truth. Truth belongs to no one, but lives in everyone. And those brave enough to look beyond the form begin to see the invisible. If you truly understood this, you are no longer the same. Imagine, just for a moment, that everything you believe about yourself, your limits, your flaws, even your identity, is nothing but a temporary shell. A costume meant only for a chapter of your soul's journey. Now imagine that shell beginning to crack. This is the fifth forbidden truth Blavatsky brought into the light. Human beings carry within them dormant abilities that far exceed what society, science, or religion are willing to admit. We're not talking about cinematic superpowers, we're talking about something far more real, and for that very reason, more dangerous. The ability to access elevated states of consciousness, to read energy fields, to manifest reality, to touch the divine within. Blavatsky called it the soul's latent potential, and she insisted evolution is not just biological, it is vibrational. She mapped out the human path in 4 great stages. 1. Instinct, where we act from survival. 2. Intellect, where we analyze, build logic, reason. 3. Intuition, where we feel truths without proof. 4. Cosmic consciousness, where we perceive unity and transcend ego. Most people live between instinct and intellect, but some, perhaps you, listening now, have begun to hear the call of intuition. You sense there is more than what the eyes can see, more than what the world teaches, more than this reality dares to offer. That's when the awakening begins. It's not sudden, it's not comfortable, but it is irreversible. You start seeing invisible patterns, signs, synchronicities, sensations you can't explain, only feel. You withdraw, you search, you question, you long to remember. Blavatsky said this process is natural, but it has been silenced, because a human being who is awake cannot be controlled. She said, the great masters of the world, Buddha, Christ, Krishna, were not divine anomalies. They were humans who fully activated what lies dormant in all of us. That phrase changes everything. It removes them from unreachable pedestals and places before us a sacred invitation to become what we've always admired. So how do we activate this hidden power? Blavatsky taught 3 sacred paths. 1. Conscious meditation, not just for calm, but to silence the ego and hear the soul. 2. Contemplative study, not to memorize, but to embody deep truths. 3. Selfless service, because every inner awakening must manifest outward. Helping others, she said, is the repayment of a sacred debt to humanity. You don't have to wait for cosmic lifetimes. You can accelerate your awakening right now. You only need to align your thoughts, your gestures, and your will with the field of higher consciousness. But a warning, this path won't make you superior. It will make you more connected, and the more connected you are, the more you realize that true power is not in control, but in communion. You begin to feel the presence of the divine in every small mundane action. You begin to understand. You don't need to seek enlightenment, you need to remember it. You are like a butterfly trapped in the cocoon of identity. To the world, you look like a still caterpillar, but inside, a silent transformation is underway. Blavatsky taught that the soul awakens when the body no longer satisfies, when the world no longer explains, when conventional answers no longer serve. And if you've made it this far, it's because that signal is already vibrating inside you. This 5th forbidden truth is clear. You are far more than you were told, and everything you need to become who you truly are is already inside you. Waiting to be remembered, waiting to be awakened. You've just heard 5 truths. Truths that were silenced for centuries, not by chance, but because awakening consciousness always threatens those who profit from unconsciousness. Helena Blavatsky was not an easy figure. She disturbed, she provoked, she dismantled what others called sacred, but she didn't do it out of rebellion. She did it out of loyalty to the truth. She understood that the universe isn't a collection of objects, but a communion of consciousness, and that each of us is a point of light in an invisible, infinite, indestructible web. She taught us, karma doesn't punish, it reveals. Reincarnation doesn't condemn, it educates. All religions are fragments of the same sacred fire, and within you lies a power no system ever wanted you to awaken. Now the question is not, do you believe? The real question is, what will you do with this memory? Because yes, some part of you already knew. Long before you heard these words, long before this lifetime, something in you recognizes these truths, like ancient echoes from buried temples, burned libraries, and forgotten civilizations. And maybe you came to this world for exactly this reason, to remember, to rebuild, to awaken others who have also forgotten. Nothing you heard here is a dogma. Everything is an invitation, interconnection, karma, reincarnation, ancestral wisdom, soul awakening. These are not ideas to admire, they are tools to apply. So here's the challenge. Choose one of these 5 truths and live it. Not forever, just for 1 week. Feel what shifts, observe the signs, write down the echoes, and if something within you stirs, don't fall asleep again. Blavatsky foresaw this time, a moment when thousands of souls across the world would begin to reunite, not under flags or religions, but under the vibration of truth. If this video found you, it wasn't the algorithm, it was the call. Thank you for crossing this portal with us. Now it's your turn to keep the web alive. Share in the comments which of these 5 truths resonated deepest in your soul. And if you feel this knowledge cannot stay hidden any longer, share it. Spread it. Make sure this wisdom reaches those who are ready to remember. Subscribe now to Nexus and turn on the bell. In every new video, we reveal fragments of the truth that was silenced for centuries, because the era of forgetting is ending. And you are one of the souls who came here to remember. We'll see you in the next awakening.